What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for Dana White's Contender Series Season 6, Week 3.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another prediction video for Dana White's Contender Series Week 3. A very special week. It is officially Bo Nickel fight week. Cannot wait for it. Should be a very fun and exciting card overall, I'd say. I don't know if it's going to beat Week 2. Week 2 was insane. You know, in Week 1, Dana White gave the whole Be Joe Pyfer speech, and everybody on Week 2 came out there and they delivered. What an exciting card. I don't think it's going to be that exciting as Week 2, but like I said, at Bo Nickel fight week, it doesn't get much better than that. Can't wait to break this down for you guys. Before we do so, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It does go a long way. Prediction video for Dana White's Contender Series on Monday. Doing a live stream with Lou Betcha on the MMA Engine, talking about betting for Dana White's Contender Series. And then also on Tuesday, that's when the full card breakdown and predictions for UFC San Diego is going to be out. So I'm looking forward to that. Make sure you are subscribed so you not miss out on all the content that'll be put out throughout the week. But I say we stop wasting some time when we get into these fights here. And we will start with the very first fight of the night. And we have Carolina Lochik going against Sandra Lovato. They call her the Peruvian zombie there. Lochik, she is 27 years old, 5'2", with a 62-inch reach. She is 8-2 with 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Notable loss comes to Cheyenne Velismus, aka Cheyenne Bays, aka Cheyenne Delidze. And that was in 2018 by a split decision there. Very competitive fight. And then she also lost to Corey McKenna back in 2016 as an amateur. She's not much of a finisher, only a 25% finish rate, all 25% of those coming by knockout. No submissions on her record there. She has fought some good competition overall. She's fought the much better competition in this matchup. She is pretty light on her feet. She does come forward aggressively, maybe a little bit too aggressively at times. Very little head movement from her, and she does eat a lot of punches with her face. She is really strong in the clinch and very strong overall, and I think that's kind of what stuck out to me the most is the strength of Lochik. Good wrestling, good grappling, good takedown defense, good control, and very heavy on top, and I think that's where she's going to win this fight if she is to pick up the win here. She should have the strength advantage here and absolutely have the advantage on the mat, especially on top. Sandra Lovato, aka the Peruvian zombie, she is 28 years old. I'm not sure on the height or the reach there, but I have a pretty strong feeling that she will be the bigger fighter in there, just from the looks of it. She is 10-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. She has no notable wins or losses. She has a 50% finish rate, all 50% of those coming by submission. She has no knockouts on her record. Super questionable level of competition for the zombie here. She beat an 0-1 fighter her last time out. Pretty questionable striking defense in her own right. Her hands are low at times, but she does have some power on the feet. I do think she's going to be the more dangerous fighter, not only on the feet, but anywhere this fight goes. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it probably does come from the Lovato side here. I have seen her taken out easily, and that's going to be a big problem here against Lochik. Her ground game doesn't seem amazing. She is active on her back, and she does have a few submissions, but those are against some very questionable competition. I don't know if it's going to work against a fighter like Lochik. And then she doesn't have the best ground game or the best get-up game by the looks of it as well. So I think it's pretty straightforward. I like Lochik here. I like Lochik by decision, or Lochik by decision here. I think she's going to use that strength, take this fight down to the mat. Her control on top's good. Her grappling defense seems to hold up as well. I think she goes out there and kind of grinds this one out. So give me Lochik to win. Lochik to win by decision. All right. Next, we have Clayton Carpenter going against Edgar Charez. Should be a very fun fight here. We will start with Carpenter. He is training out of the MMA lab. He's 26 years old, 5'5". Not sure on the reach there, but he is 5-0, and 5-0 obviously in his only 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Carpenter, and he's a good finisher. Both these guys are. A 40% knockout rate and a 40% submission rate as well for an overall 80% finishing rate, finishing all but one of his wins. So he is a brown belt in BJJ. Very good on the mat. He's training with some really great guys at the MMA lab. He is a finisher and dangerous anywhere the fight goes. He gets after it right away. Very fast starter. He landed a nasty head kick in one of his last fights. It took him 12 seconds to finish this guy. And then I also saw him get a submission in less than a minute. So he gets after it right away, and he's extremely dangerous anywhere the fight goes. He's really slick on the mat with good control on top, and he is always looking for the finish. He can be a little inactive on the feet as the fight goes on, and I'll say his cardio does seem okay from what I've seen. He does slow down a little bit, but he has went the full 3 rounds before. Edgar Charez, he trains out of Entrom Gym, I believe. He's 26 years old, 5'7". Not sure on the reach there, but he is 8-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. There are no notable wins or losses, and this guy's a finisher. 50% knockout rate, 50% submission rate for an overall 100% finish rate. He is a finisher anywhere the fight goes. A little low volume on the feet, can be very inactive at times, but when he does throw, he lands hard, has really hard leg kicks as well. When he does hurt his opponent, he does swarm for the finish there. I have seen him taken down very easily, and that's going to be a big problem in this matchup, you got to believe. He is looking to throw up submission attempts constantly. He is submission over position. I have seen him make some mistakes on the mat, but he's also dangerous on the mat as well. But he has also been submitted twice in his career there, which is a big red flag for me in this matchup. Takedown defense seems to be an issue, and though he is active on his back, he can lose minutes, and that's something I typically don't like to see when fighters are willing to be on their back, throwing up submissions, and you can lose minutes that way if he's not able to submit Carpenter off his back, which I don't think he's going to be able to do so. So, yeah, I do like Carpenter here to win. No, I actually say Carpenter wins this fight by submission. I think he's super dangerous. He goes for the finish, and again, we have seen Charez submitted twice in his career. I'll say Carpenter wins by first-round submission there. If this fight does get extended, I think it could get very interesting. I think that Charez is going to have the cardio advantage here. I have seen him go deep into the fight before and look fine. I'll say he slows down as well, but I'll say Charez still has the cardio advantage here. But I don't think this gets extended. I think Carpenter goes in there, and I think he does get a pretty early finish here. Let us take a look at the odds on this one. I always forget to do this, but it is important. Clayton Carpenter opened up -300, currently -325. Edgar Charez opened up +250, currently +275. That's pretty wide. Charez, this guy's no joke. He's game. He's going to be there. He's tough. He's durable. But, I think Carpenter should be able to take him down and get him out of there by submission, though. And then as far as the first fight, Lochik -230, Lovato +195, another pretty wide line, but I think Lochik should get it done. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have probably one of my favorite fights. I'll say my second favorite fight on the entire card. And I think this is the closest lined fight on the entire card as well. We have Eric Silva going against Anvar Nazarov. We will start with Eric Silva. I'm not sure on the age there on Tapology. It does not say, but I want to say he's like mid-30s, like 35, 30, something like that. He's not a young fighter by any means. He is 5'10", not sure on the reach there. He's 8-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Silva. A very good finisher. Overall finish rate of 75%, 25% coming by knockout, 50% of his wins coming by submission, and I think that's important here. So notes I have on Silva. He does have some power on the feet. I'll say his striking is very serviceable. He's not going to want to strike in this fight, but his striking's solid. He will go for takedowns, and he is a very, very good grappler. Very dangerous on the mat, good control and ground and pound. And once he takes your back, the fight is going to be over shortly after. I was extremely impressed with his grappling, to say the least here. And he will go for takedowns early and often. And in this fight, he is for sure going to go for takedowns early and often. Why would he not? Because he is going against Anvar Nazarov, who is training at a Tiger Muay Thai, I believe. He is 33 years old, 5'9", with a 69-inch reach, 3-0, and obviously 3-0 in his only 3 fights there. So no notable wins or losses in terms of MMA. We'll talk about some notable fights out of the kickboxing background that he has. But he does have a 100% finish rate. All 3 of those wins by knockout, all 3 of those wins in the very first round, and all 3 of those wins like very early in the first round as well. So he does have a glory kickboxing background, a ton of kickboxing fights on his record. He did beat Giga Chikadze back in 2015, and I imagine that's going to be a big talking point for this week. I'm sure they're going to bring it up on the show because, why shouldn't they? We see what, Giga Chikadze has came into the UFC and done. Very impressive stuff there. But yeah, like I said, 3 finishes all in round 1, all very early, so we don't get to see a ton of him. But what we do see is this guy is no joke on the feet. Very hard leg kicks. He actually finished somebody with his leg kicks. I think it was in his debut. He beat up this guy's legs bad to the point where he's just done in a couple minutes there. He did stuff only 1 takedown attempt from what I've saw, but there's like a combined maybe 5 minutes of fight footage out there of him, and as far as MMA goes, and he was able to stuff the 1 takedown, right? He's dangerous on the feet, nasty knees. He's actually finished 2 of his 3 opponents with the knees, and that's kind of a concern in this matchup here because Silva's going to be going for takedowns, closing the distance. I think those knees could definitely be there. And this is the problem with a lot of Contender Series fights in general, but especially this fight is the question marks, right? Like, I have no idea how good his takedown defense is, or I have no idea how bad his takedown defense is. I just don't know. But what I do know is on the feet, he's a serious problem. And although I think Silva is a good striker, he is not going to want to strike with Anvar here. So this is just a striker versus grappler. Just it's that simple. Will Silva be able to get the fight down to the mat, or is he going to get knocked out? It's a close fight. I think I'm going to lean Silva here. I was so impressed with his grappling, with his back takes, with his submission game. And I also like the fact that he goes for takedowns early and often. And this is a fight where you got to imagine Silva's going to be shooting a takedown within the first 30 seconds. It would shock me if he didn't. And if he does get this fight down to the mat, it's going to be over. His ground game's no joke. On the flip side, Anvar is striking's phenomenal. Tons of power in his leg kicks and the knees. But I just don't think Silva's going to stand with them much. So I like Silva here to win. I like Silva to win by first round submission. Whoever wins this fight, I'd be shocked if it reached the second round, to be honest. Just stylistically, it's either Anvar by first round knockout or Silva by first round submission. I think it's as simple as that. So I'll go Silva by first round submission. I think he does get this fight down to the mat and submits Anvar. Anvar, for what it's worth, I believe it was his MMA debut, was talking about how he wants to showcase his BJJ he's been working on, and obviously he did not showcase that because he knocked out his opponent early, but apparently he's working on that part of his game, which, that's really good to see, but just have not seen any of that yet. So I'll say Silva does take him down and submits him in the first round. Let us take a look at these odds here, and Silva opened up a minus 300 favorite, and he's now minus 140. Anvar opened up plus 250. He's now plus 120. I think the opener was obviously very wide. Anvar on the feet is no joke, and there are some question marks on the takedown defense and on the ground game. But yeah, minus 300 opener is wide. But yeah, I'm gonna take Silva to win here. Curious to see where this line goes. Looks like more money is still coming in on Anvar, but I'll take Silva to win. Silva to win by first round submission. Should be a banger of a fight. All right, next we have just a weird fight that I want nothing to really do with, but we'll talk about it anyway. We have Jamel Pogues going against Paulo Ronaldo Jr. Pogues, he's 26 years old, 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, 8-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable losses: he lost to Alex Easy Polizzi and also Jordan Young. Both came by submission. Notable wins: he did beat Jared Vandera twice as an amateur, for what it's worth. Decent finish rate, 63% overall, 50% by knockout, 13% by submission. Some notes I have on Pogues here. So I guess the elephant in the room, right? The elephant in the room is Pogues is a light heavyweight. This is going to be his second fight at heavyweight ever, as far as I'm concerned, at least pro. And to be honest, I taped this fight, and I did not even know it was heavyweight until I saw them weigh in today. I could have swore it would be at light heavyweight because Pogues is literally a light heavyweight. And on the flip side, Ronaldo is a guy that has fought at welterweight before. So, I mean, this just being at heavyweight just makes no sense to me, but it's at heavyweight. And and then you take a look at the weigh-ins today, and Pogues he looks completely out of shape. He doesn't look like prepared for this fight. I'm not sure what's going on, which could be a concern, especially considering when you take a look at Pogues, his game plan is going to be getting this fight down to the mat. And to be honest, I really liked what I saw from Pogues, but seeing the shape he was in today at the weigh-ins, just not a good look, especially when we talk about the line and how wide it is. But He has good control against the cage. He has good wrestling, and he's very slick on the mat for a 6'3" guy. This guy is slick on the mat with his ground game there. He throws with a ton of power on the feet, but he mostly throws punches to close the distance here, and he's really relentless with the wrestling, and he has good cardio, I'd say. In some fights, his cardio looks very good. In some fights, his cardio looks but I'll say overall his cardio is pretty good, especially for what he's going in there and doing, which is, for the most part, getting his opponent down to the mat, relentless wrestling, relentless pressure there. He was taken down a bunch by Easy Polizzi and eventually was submitted, but he did have his moments in that fight, and Polizzi is a very good fighter. He should be able to use his size here and get this fight down to the mat. The weigh-ins concern me. The weigh-ins really concern me. He does not look to be in the best shape. And if he's not prepared to go 3 rounds here, it could be very interesting as the fight goes on. But, you know, Ronaldo Jr., he's 28 years old. He's 6 foot. He's 6 foot. He is 10-1, and he is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He kind of looks like Zach Pauga, right? He looks like Zach Pauga a little bit from the side there, which is interesting because Pauga as well is a 6-foot heavyweight, apparently. And that's what Ronaldo is. But I guess the notable thing with Ronaldo here is he's fought at welterweight. He's fought at 170, and now he is now a heavyweight fighter. So I think he weighed in like 221 pounds. Pogues around like 240 something. So Pogues is going to be the much bigger fighter here, and I think that's extremely key in this matchup. There's not a lot of footage there on Ronaldo. I think there's like 2 fights. He's a finisher, 80% finish rate overall. He's going to be extremely undersized at heavyweight. He's going to be extremely undersized in this matchup. Very questionable competition, but he is a finisher nonetheless. This is a weird, sketchy fight, but I like Pogues here to win. I think he's fought the better competition by a mile. I think he's the much, much bigger fighter. I think the skill set is there. This fight being at heavyweight doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it is. So we'll see what happens. Pogues' last fight was literally a light heavyweight. I'll say he takes down Ronaldo, finishes him in the very first round. But if this fight does get extended, it's probably going to be extremely sloppy and greasy, and I don't know. It's going to get ugly if it gets extended. But I'll say Pogues' first round finish. What a weird fight. Pogues is a big favorite. Opened up minus 180, currently minus 288. Ronaldo opened up plus 155. He's currently plus 248. Yeah, Pogues should win, and probably in the very first round. All right, next we have the main event. We have Bo Nickal going against Zachary Borrego. And we'll talk about the odds right off the bat because I don't think we will see another fighter this big of a favorite the entire season, honestly. And I think this line is only going to get wider as well, as crazy as that seems when you hear the line. So we opened up at minus 300, instantly went to minus 1,400, and now he's minus 2,450. 2,450. On the flip side, Zachary Borrego opened up plus 250. He's currently plus 1,350. So the biggest favorite on the card, like I said, probably the biggest favorite on the entire season when it's all said and done. Bo Nickal is a big favorite for a reason, though. So we'll talk about Bo Nickal first. He's 26 years old, 6'1". He is 1-0 in his only professional MMA fight. And no notable wins or losses for Bo Nickal there. 100% finish rate. He went out there and finished his only professional fight in the very first round, in the very first like 30 seconds as well. Some notes I have on Bo Nickal here. He's a very, very high-level wrestler out of Penn State University, and he is a blue belt in BJJ. His striking looks pretty good. He throws with a ton of power, went out there and got a 30-second knockout in his last fight. Looked really good on the feet from the limited footage that I did see, which is great to see. He did finish both of his amateur fights, one by submission and one by KO as well. And the thing I like about Bo Nickal, not only is the wrestling, he has the elite wrestling, but he's kind of, rounding out his game a little bit. He's a blue belt in BJJ. I was watching one of his videos on Instagram, and he was talking about how he loves BJJ, he loves to learn, and he's learning and growing in that aspect of his game, which is great to see. And then, so he has the wrestling, he's working on the grappling, he's a blue belt. And on top of that, the striking's coming along. Like, this guy has potential to be like a nightmare matchup, not only obviously for Borrego, but for guys in the future. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him perform here on Tuesday. Should have the advantage anywhere the fight goes. Borrego is going to be the striker in this matchup, but I still think Bo Nickal's probably the better striker, just with the power. And I feel like Bo Nickel can have success on the feet if he wants to. Obviously, he can take down Borrego easily if he wants to. And if he gets on top, the fight's probably over shortly after. I mean, Bo Nickel's minus 190 to win in the first round, right? So, after looking into the fight, you see why the guy's like minus 2,400. Zach Borrego, he's 26 years old, 6'2", 77-inch reach. He's 3-0. No notable wins or losses. A finish rate of 66%, all by knockout. Some solid kicks from Borrego. He does come forward with pressure and volume. He is open to be hit, which could be a huge concern in this matchup. Doesn't seem to have a lot of power, but he does throw a ton of strikes. And he does make his opponents wilt under the pressure, under the strikes, but not really a power threat per se. He does start very fast, and he's going to come forward the entire fight, and he probably won't take a backward step. He was taken down a couple fights ago. He is pretty active off his back, but he does not have the best get-up game there. So, yep, no shock here going with Bo Nickel. I think Bo Nickel wins this fight really however he wants. I'm going to say he does get the fight down to the mat and just smashes this guy. I think it could be by sub, by knockout, really whatever he wants. In the very first round, I think Bo Nickel gets it done. And yeah, curious to see where he does go, in the very near future. I wonder if, 1-0, one professional fight, and he's getting a shot here on the Contender Series. That just goes to show you how people think of this guy. Like, this guy has a ton of hype and for a very good reason. But yeah, I'm going with the big favorite here in Bo Nickel. So yeah, I'm going with Bo Nickel minus 2,450 for Bo Nickel there. Those are the picks, guys. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live on the MMA Engine at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time talking about the card from a betting perspective. Probably not going to have a ton of action on this card. Kind of like a really sketchy card. Maybe something will stick out, some props here or there. We'll talk about it, although obviously you can't play Bo Nickel at minus 2,400. Yeah, should be a fun card, though. Looking forward to it. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe, all the good stuff. Best of luck. Dana White's Contender Series, Week 3. We'll talk to you all very soon. See ya.